Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be answering a very important question from Anthony, and Anthony asks, what percentage of my net worth are my cars? And I really like this question because I follow a rule that might sound pretty ridiculous. In fact, I've mentioned this in other videos and I've gotten interesting reactions from people, and that's the same way that I reacted many years ago when I first heard this rule. And you'll see this rule repeated on the internet. This is the 5% net worth rule. And that is, you keep your toys under 5% of your net worth. And this is an important rule because there's a lot of young people on YouTube who have not lived through a recession or a secular bear market. With this car was about 10,000 bucks. So the example with this car would be a net worth of $200,000 to buy something like this. Now the great thing about an old C5 Z06 like this is that it doesn't depreciate. One of the big things I learned when I purchased my first new car is that the depreciation expense was off the charts. Depreciation expense, full coverage insurance, it was just so detrimental to my financial health that I started only buying used, inexpensive cars like this. Now I had a few dream cars and I owned those. One of them was a C5 Z06. The other one, of course, was a Viper, which I owned, and I had a ton of fun owning that. But with the 5% net worth rule at the time, I couldn't really afford that car. And so I'm going along at the racetrack, enjoying the hell out of that car, and my power steering cap comes off, power steering splashes all over the wheel, I go flying off the racetrack and I miss the guard tower. And this is a very important point. This is liability at the racetrack. You are responsible for your own damages. Your insurance company isn't going to pay for the damages to your car. In particular, a $50,000 Dodge Viper, they're not going to pay for it. They're going to say, hey, you're a moron for taking that to the track, so it's on you. Not only that, but if I had crashed into the wall or the guard tower, I would have been liable for the damages to the racetrack. So that was a wake-up call for me. I said, hey, I shouldn't be buying this Viper. I shouldn't be running this thing at the racetrack. So I sold that off, and I had a ton of fun doing it, but it was a learning experience for me. And then again, recently, I blew up my engine at the racetrack in my Honda S2000. But because I now follow this 5% net worth rule, I wasn't stressed out at all about it. In fact, if you watch my video about going to the racetrack, I said, oh, I finally blew up my engine. And that's because I expected it. Mechanical failures are normal at the racetrack. I blew up the engine, and within a couple weeks, I went out and I replaced it. And it was no stress to me because I followed this 5% net worth rule. The other great thing about this car, this goes back to the modified internal rate of return video I did a while ago. When I post videos about this car, I get a pretty good return on investment. The first video I posted about this car back in September has over 25,000 views, and that netted me $100 in ad revenue. That's pretty fantastic for an old $10,000 car. Lots of people love this car, and so for me as a content creator on YouTube, I also want to look at the modified internal rate of return when I choose my cars and I choose what to make videos on. And so yeah, that's it. With the 5% net worth rule, if you have a $1 million net worth, you only spend $50,000 on your car. And again, this sounds ridiculous, but it works out great because that other 95% of your assets you can have in income-producing assets. You can have it in equities and bonds, other things that are going to provide good income. Cars do not provide good income. Again, if there is another recession and you're making payments on your car, you have a $100,000 car, whatever you do with your money, you're going to be a little stressed out. If you have a lien on your car and you go to the racetrack and you total it, you're going to be a little bit stressed out. If you have a new car and you have to replace the engine and you find out that your engine cost $25,000 for a long block, which was the case with my E90 M3, you're going to be stressed out. And so all these cars that I've owned have been a learning experience that has been directing me in toward the 5% net worth rule. The 5% net worth rule is the best rule that I have encountered in personal finance books on the web and everywhere else about owning cars. I fully agree with that rule, and that is what I have learned to follow through my own personal experiences. It is not worth the stress of spending more money on my cars because my cars just do not return me that much money. And so that's why I like these inexpensive cars, and I will continue to make videos on these inexpensive cars. Even as I make more money, I'm probably not going to go out and buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari unless I am doing it to flip the car. Yeah, so the 5% net worth rule is hugely effective. That's what I use. You can use whatever you want, but that is what I stick to. And I just gave you the reasons why. So that is all I have for you. Thank you for watching. Please make sure that you enjoy your car.